Hello, everybody. We are back up close and personal here in 2025. A bit of a different aesthetic for you viewers. Happy New Year, Feliz Año. It is 2025. The last time we had a pod here on Miami Total Football Radio, the show, it was December 19th of 2024. So just before Christmas, before the New Year, we said we would have a show at some point, but the holidays make that complicated. So that allowed us to wait until the start of preseason. And here we are. Inter Miami officially has begun its preparations for 2025. Joining me, as always, as usual, Jose Armando, a.k.a. Island Jose, and Andrea Llanes, a.k.a. Ajicita. We've got the vertical look. For people who just listen to the podcast, don't view it. After the fact, we've got the vertical look going here. So our faces are pretty large here. I'm going to have to back up the camera a good 10 yards. But anyway, Happy New Year, guys. I know I've seen you in person, but officially on the podcast, Happy New Year. How are you guys doing? First week of Inter Miami preseason camp. So a lot to talk about here. But how are you guys doing? Let us know. What did you guys do for New Year's? Where did you guys celebrate? Where were you with Figo?
What? I think we stayed at home, right? Yeah, What did we do for New Year's? I don't even remember now. It seems like it was that long ago. We stayed home. Andrea cooked.
I cooked, yes.
Yeah, it was good.
Baleada?
No.
You can have baleadas for New Year's Eve.
I don't know. I'm not Honduran.
No, you can't have baleadas. You have tamales. Naka tamales, I should say, because tamales, there are some other countries that have tamales as well. But
Skrilla's in the comment section saying, no surprise, always late. We were late today, but that's because we were trying to figure out a couple of last-minute tweaks here as we're trying to bring you a different look this year. I don't know if you guys like it. I don't know if we look too large and in charge, but it'll help us with the comment section. See, now we don't move. The image doesn't just go like this. Mike V. Más atrasado que risa de sordo.
It was just like 10 minutes or not less.
No, 8, less.
Nice. It was like 6, 7. It was like 6 or 7.
6 minutes.
Andrea, how are you?
Good. Happy New Year to everyone that listens to the podcast and that is watching us now live. We're back and we're ready to talk about Inter Miami and everything that's happening and all the news. And as always, give you our opinion and what we think about the movements the team is doing, right?
Feta Ibrahim says, what's up, guys? There's a flamingo emoji, but it should be the hair and a soccer ball and a crown. What's up, Feta? I think it might be the first time Feta's ever commented. Well, thank you guys, of course, for tuning in. Thank you guys for joining us here. Like Andrea said, there's, like always, a lot of Inter Miami news to talk about. It's a long year. It's the start of a long year. It's January. What's today's date? The 16th?
16th.
January 16th. Inter Miami's preseason officially, at least for media purposes, started on the 13th, although Javier Mascherano revealed that they actually had started the day before, so the 12th on Sunday. But anyway, it is the beginning of what will be another long journey, another adventurous season. We'll be here to cover it all like a nice child's blanket. So, Jose, Andrea, let's begin with, we got to start with the biggest news so we can get it out of the way, and that's the heavily linked Neymar. As you see on this week's show here on Miami Total Football. No, I started the year bad. Radio, the show. Neymar has been heavily linked with Inter Miami in recent days. Of course, Jose, you broke it down on your Twitter, which you can see right there in the middle, at JARM21. You broke it down what Inter Miami would have to do to even have a remote possibility to sign him. So let's start with Andrea's thoughts on the rumor that he wants to come here, the reports that he wants to come here, and then Jose, you'll break down if it is at all possible and how it would be possible. So Andrea, you start.
Well, I guess the rumors became a little bit true today because his coach, Jorge Jesus, who is a good coach, a coach considered an elite coach, said that Neymar would not be on the list officially for the second half of their season in Saudi Arabia because he is unfortunately not at a level to play that football. Let's remember that his team Al Hilal are number one on the table right now, followed by Al Ittihad, that is Benzema's team, and then by Ronaldo's team. So it's a good team. Even without Neymar, they have a good team. They have a good coach. Jorge Jesus is a good coach who has a lot of history here in the American continent, and his words carry a lot of weight, because if a coach like Jorge Jesus is telling you that Neymar is not at a good level, it lets you know that unfortunately he has not recovered from that injury in a manner that could see him come back as to be that great player. And then you have reports from ESPN today that Greg Berhalter is in Saudi Arabia, along with Chicago Fire's president, to talk with Al Hilal representative. And let's remember that Al Hilal also is part of that conglomerate that belongs to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So they have to talk with the government and all of that if they are letting Neymar go on this January transfer window, because he has a valid contract until June. So if he comes here, they have to or either pay for him to come here, so purchase him, or he has to resign his contract and come as a
hey, you're dipping into Jose Armando's territory here,
so,
Andrea.
for Inter Miami, I'm just gonna say before Jose comes in, it will be in the marketing side a great signing, but I don't think it's possible for Inter Miami unless a lot of things changes, right? And I guess Mascherano told us in MLS Media Day that that's not where their head is at. And I guess in this moment, Chicago Fire is winning against them, right? Because they have the rights, and Inter Miami it doesn't have a representative in Saudi Arabia in this moment. So,
I don't know
Well,
that.
it seems like Greg Berhalter is not there. It seems like I've seen
So
pictures of Greg
ESPN got it
Berhalter.
wrong, Jose? ESPN got it wrong?
ESPN Brazil got it wrong. Yes, apparently Greg Berhalter is not there. He is with the team here in Florida. Now let's remember that.
Muito huminho in Brazil. Muito huminho.
yes.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody there. It's just that it's not Greg Berhalter. I wouldn't blame ESPN Brazil for reporting on this and not knowing who Greg Berhalter is. I mean, I would understand that. I would understand, or any other representative from the Chicago Fire. Although, I mean, if they're saying that there's somebody from Chicago Fire there, I can't believe them. I can't believe them. Now, remember that the Chicago Fire has the discovery rights on Neymar. So if that's one of the steps, one of the hurdles. So if they want him, I'm not saying that they're going to force him to sign with Chicago Fire just because they have the rights. Because at the end of the day, I still believe Neymar has the final word. Final word here. I mean, he's not obligated to come to MLS just because of that. And then when it comes to Inter Miami, I think the path is pretty clear for Inter Miami. We're really gonna know if he's coming at all. I think the first move that they're gonna make, if that is happening, will relate to Facundo Farias, because they would need to change their roster designation. They are currently an under 22 initiative team, which means they can have 2 DPs, which is Messi and Busi, and they can have 4 under 22 players, which it's Benja, Toto, Facundo, Farias, and Redondo, right? So we know Redondo is not going anywhere. We know Benja is not going anywhere as much as they want to sell him. And we know Toto is not going anywhere. So the only guy that we have heard rumors of moving away from Inter Miami is Facundo Farias. So if those moves are made, then I can see a path for Neymar to sign for Inter Miami.
Now, one thing I think you kind of glossed over there is MLS has this rule. We don't need to get into the nitty gritty because we could, but it's just so
discovery, right?
It's so minute and it's so complicated and complex that it can be boring. It can be very boring, unless you're a super MLS diehard nerd. Which, hey, I mean, I'm not saying we're not, but it's just for the generally speaking, general public. I don't think it's something a lot of people want to talk too much about. But anyway, there's two approaches that an MLS team can have in terms of the roster construction, right? One is the going with the 2 DPs and then 4 under 22 players, like you just mentioned, is Inter Miami's case. Or there's a different approach where you can have 3 DPs, but you don't have 4 under 22 initiative players. And right
you
now,
would have 3 under 22.
You'd have 3 instead of 4. Right. So right now, and if I'm not mistaken, dating back to last year, Inter Miami has gone with the approach of 2 DPs and 4 under 22 initiatives. So that would have to change. Inter Miami would have to change that. And this is where I'm a little fuzzy. Maybe you can help clarify. I know they can change it at midseason if they've set it to be one way. But I don't know if they can change it once the year starts, or if there's like it starts when the season starts, or if they can make that decision. Now, I'm not clear on when that has to be submitted.
Roster compliant by the date that the league.
February 21st.
Okay.
They have to be roster compliant. But at that point, they will declare
one of the two.
Yes, one of the two, and then they can change it during the summer. They can change it again during the summer, which it makes no sense. But we're not going to get into that. But
we'll leave it for another show.
Right.
So Inter Miami would have to change gears in terms of how they're constructing, which wouldn't be a huge deal. I mean, there are reports that Facundo Farias is on the way out. Andrea, in a very ajicita way, went 2-foot slide tackle on Javier Mascherano on Monday. That was the first question in our media scrum. Is Facundo staying? Is he going? So it's possible. Now, very quickly,
they really should be they shouldn't be an under 22 team, roster destination. They shouldn't be. But last year, remember, they got 1 million. If you declare to be an under 22 team, you got 1 million of GAM, and maybe that's what they want, and they didn't see Campana as a future designated player. So who knows?
See, now we're getting into the nitty gritty, which I like, but again, generally speaking, I think it
will be a whole mess for Inter Miami to bring Neymar right now. Being serious, starting with their roster. And then starting with their roster because they'll have to move players.
But just one player, it wouldn't be just one.
Yeah, but the reports today from Argentina are that the deal for Facundo Farias is collapsed because the other team didn't want to sell a player, didn't want to exchange a player, didn't want any loan. They don't want that. So
right, but Facundo Farias is, they can.
Yeah, there's a market for him. But then the second part of the Neymar and bringing Neymar to Inter Miami is paying Chicago Fire for his rights.
That would be very easy as well. That's
a foregone conclusion if they want.
If Chicago Fire wants to sell him, that's the thing.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? The league will force Chicago Fire to sell their soul.
Exactly.
I'm just saying that Chicago is not obligated to sell.
The league will obligate all of them to sell everything. Uniforms, the stadium, Soldier Field will be gone.
Marco Reus, so I don't see why they wouldn't.
The city of Chicago will now be the city of Miami. And we're going to have 2 Miamis, 3 Miamis.
But that not only depends on the league, it depends on the owner, on the coach, and everything.
Yellow card for Andrea. For your first yellow card of the year. Hold on, Andrea. Hold on. Because let's give people like the realistic lay of the land.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do any of us expect Neymar to be here? I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility, but do you really expect Inter Miami to go that route? Yes or no? Jose, yes or no? Just yes or no?
Yes.
You do think they would go that route? The
yes.
initial reports today are that they are not looking to go that route.
I would say yes. If they see a slim chance, they're gonna go for it.
I would say no because for what I know, their real target is Di Maria. Who they want to bring is Di Maria. So you cannot offer if you get a designated player like Neymar, who I don't think would come here if he's not a designated player. Then how do you bring Di Maria? Because I don't think you can convince Di Maria, who's still playing in Europe, to come here and just make $1 million a year. That's not good business for him. So they will have to choose between the two.
So I would say I side on, again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. So Jose, I don't think that, your stance is wrong, but I would agree with Andrea that I don't see the team opting for the MSN reunion, the Messi, Suarez, Neymar reunion from Barcelona days. I just think that they're going in a different direction, which I'm sure we'll talk about here today. It's a very Argentine heavy direction. Obviously, Neymar is a quality player, and he has been for much of his career. Obviously, he's had a lot of injury issues these last few seasons, these last few years. Probably not the same player he was, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. But I mean, you would like to think that in Major League Soccer, he would still have the quality to make a difference. Now, I would have questions about him off the field, right? Like, it's clear that he likes to enjoy himself off the field. He's got that Brazilian spirit, that happy-go-lucky, I like to enjoy myself attitude. And imagining him in South Florida, would he take the soccer seriously? Is he going to come here and try to compete, or is this just the one of the final stops in his career? I do think he ends up in MLS. I just don't think it will be with Inter Miami. Again, like Andrea said, you'd have to pay him a pretty penny, and not only do you have to make him a DP, you have to pay him handsomely. He wants apparently Messi money, is what's being reported. I mean,
that's why I say Chicago is in a position. Chicago has 1 or 2 designated players. I don't remember. They sold one last year, but they have the money. They have the space to do it. So it would make sense, and it would make sense for the league to have this rivalry, because let's remember, the league is interested in the business. So if you have Messi, Suarez, and Neymar together, yes, it's a good marketing, but where do other teams stand when they don't have any talent like that? So I could see Neymar coming to MLS and going to Chicago as a real possibility, but
Messi's gonna make that call. I mean,
Messi can make
but if it's Di Maria, or Neymar,
or Neymar, exactly. You choose.
Who are you
yeah,
going?
if I agree. If it comes down to Di Maria or Neymar, he's gonna probably get Di Maria, even though
Why?
Di Maria will most likely. Well, passport.
Let's go to the Argentinian consulate, because we need to get a passport, because if not, we will not be able to cover Inter Miami anymore.
If things keep going at this rate, we all have to. I mean, you guys are gonna have to get divorced. I'm gonna have to break up with my girlfriend, and we all gonna have to marry some Argentines so that we can get press passes in Chase Stadium. Because the rate things are going, if you're not Argentine, you're not in. And obviously that's said tongue in cheek, but I mean there has been a clear trend of big Argentine influence, which we'll get to a little bit later. But again, it's a possibility that Neymar comes. I would say it's probably not realistic, although Jose disagrees with me, and Andrea and I. But we'll see. I do think he ends up in MLS. I think where he's at in his career, it's time for him to.
Nobody else will pay him.
It's the only league that will pay a player in that position, because the injury he suffered. No, because even Brazil, he could go, but he would not make the money that he will make here, because
if it's him, I wouldn't go to Brazil, because if it doesn't work out, the World Cup is far away. Right here, he's going to score 5 to 10 goals, maybe 15 goals, and then he's going to be fine and still,
and
with the possibility to play
Neymar cannot even play, and that's true, because Neymar would come, and it would be like
the comment section. The comment section
for him to play.
The comment section is full of objections of this idea. Yeah, Jason says no to Neymar. Justin says, why waste the DP spot on Neymar? Mike says, hashtag Di Maria in, hashtag Neymar out. John S. Neymar cannot even play. I mean, that's clearly the biggest question mark about him, and we'll wrap it up on this. I know, Jose, you want to say something there, but he has very big question marks in terms of his health, his ability at this point in his career to stay healthy, and then coming to the United States, where the pressure is not anywhere near the same for a player of his, not his caliber, because he has quality, but a player of his demeanor. Is it a good fit? Is that a player you want to invest X amount of $1 million into? That's the question you have to ask, and that's the question. We've seen it plenty of times. Big name players come here, regardless of the city, and they just don't take it as seriously. They just don't live up to not the expectations, but the expectations. But they also don't live up to the requisite professionalism that still professional soccer requires, even if it's MLS. But anyway, Jose, finish up with your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's all going to come down to Messi. If Messi really wants this to happen, if he really pushes for it, then it's going to happen. I think there's a trend within the team, and if you look back into the media day and some of the answers we got as well, in the first day of training, Inter Miami is really pushing for more flexibility with the roster rules. I don't know if MLS is going to do much more than what they did already, but they are really pushing for it. They are really pushing for it, and it leads me to believe they really want to get in and bring in more of these type of
Oh, that's
players.
clear. That's clear. I mean, like, if it was up to Inter Miami, I mean, I was going to say this before. That's the one piece I didn't want to omit. Sorry, Jose. Jorge Mas has the money, right? Jorge Mas, if he was allowed to spend it in more carefree manner, then he would do it. He would sign Neymar. He'd sign Di Maria in the middle of the year. He has the money to do it. Just MLS rules don't really allow you to build a roster in that manner. So, right, it's a decision of Neymar now, who is a question mark, or someone who's a little bit more, I don't want to say proven commodity, but it's been more consistent as of late. And that's, someone like Angel Di Maria. So
no, and it's no question that Neymar is better than Di Maria. Neymar is better than Suarez. Neymar is Neymar, but in this point is his career.
Was.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you have to take into account, that it's not the same Neymar that we saw at Santos or Barcelona. And
the comment section is was off to it's a good start here. Mike V. Robbie Robinson has played more than Neymar in the last 2 years. There you go.
Might be true.
It might be true, yeah. It's really unfortunate because he was a great player on this generation, the only player that can compare to Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. But unfortunately, with his injury, it's just really not there. And he's in a place where he's got everything. He's the best paid player in Saudi Arabia. The amount of money that they are paying or have paid him for him not to play, not even he has played like 3 games. It's insane, literally insane. So MLS, if a team in MLS takes on that challenge, it's just because of marketing and the money that they're gonna make, bringing someone that is on level with Lionel Messi in terms of marketing, in terms of social media, in terms of eyes, in terms of subscriptions of Apple TV. And
I don't know that. I wouldn't go.
It would have been cool. No, it would have been cool though, from the outside, at least my opinion. It would have been cool to see the MSN reunion. It would have been
right. No. I
be...
think that would be interesting. But having Neymar and Chicago Fire, one of the worst teams in the league, I
was laughing so hard because I was watching social media. The first thing that began trending after this ESPN report that a friend of Jose Conrado did, that representatives from Chicago Fire were in Arabia and were speaking with Neymar after Jorge Jesus' comments, is that goal last year. Between the match Chicago Fire and Orlando, and everyone was posting all of these accounts. That Twitter, the way that Twitter works now, everyone is verified, and that's what trends. And all these accounts were just posting, this is the team that Neymar will go and play in. And it was that horrible goal. That's the worst thing that has happened to MLS in I guess the last 5 years.
The horrific blunder, exactly. Shambolic play all across in that entire season.
Exactly.
It was a low light, not a highlight. Neymar did say recently though that he would have liked, he would like to reunite with Messi. And I mean, again, for the storylines, if you could get Neymar motivated, I mean, I think it would be.
If Neymar was 100% good, it would be a no-brainer.
Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
No-brainer.
Would you give away, maybe a little bit of GAM and Facundo Farias to Chicago Fire for the Neymar rights?
No, not unless you're signing him. You only,
of course, but you're already going to make the trade. If you make the trade, you have a deal with Neymar. So I'm assuming that part of the deal. And if you're the Chicago Fire, would you take it, knowing that Neymar doesn't want to play with you?
Neymar, I think Neymar could be interesting. I mean, I don't think they have the money to pay him, but I think would be interesting. Orlando City, and that would make the Inter Miami Orlando City rivalry very interesting.
Yeah, that would be good.
It fits there with the Brazilian roots that they have at Orlando City. That would be interesting. But anyway, enough Neymar. Let's talk about players that are actually in camp. Preseason started again, officially, at least for the media's vantage point, on Monday. We were there. We spoke to several players, not only with Inter Miami, but also with the U.S. men's national team, which is also in town and prepping and gearing up for Saturday's January camp, winter camp, annual friendly against Venezuela. So we'll be there on Saturday. Unfortunately, we're not making it to Vegas. Darn, I really wished Miami Total Football Radio was headed to Las Vegas, but we are not. We will be here covering the international game. All the same, some takeaways from Monday. There was a lot of little nuggets, no real big overarching piece of news, but I will start with Jose. A quick nugget. Don't make it long because we still got a lot to talk about here. The time is ticking. An hour and 10 minutes. This is it. This is the year. This is the year we stick to an hour and 10 minutes.
I think that's something that maybe everybody noticed, but I didn't see it a lot on social media. There were no goalkeepers. There were no goalkeepers in the first training session, although everything was set up for, celestial goalkeepers to come down and work because, it's everything was in place for the goalkeepers, I guess, to come out when the media left. And that was there was something, a little something there. Messi was, as usual, maybe a little bit more amped up energy. I think I saw it a little bit more, into it this time around.
It was the beanie he was wearing in 73-degree weather. Now I know
that's surprising.
Not everybody calls it a beanie. You could call it a winter hat. You could call it a scully, un chullo, whatever you call it. No, pero un gorro is a hat. Like it's like a winter hat.
Gorra is a hat.
No, pues. El hondureño hablando de cómo se dice gorro en hondureño.
No, I thought you were telling me in español, pues. But okay. All the same, 73-degree weather, and Messi was wearing a winter hat. Anyway, Jose, that was your takeaway. Yeah, I mean, there was talk, right, in our scrums afterwards of who will play in goal on Saturday because nobody at that point had been signed, but we knew that they knew.
We knew that
No,
and we knew that the announcement that Callender wouldn't be able to play against Venezuela would come any day this week. I told you, let's bet. And
well, I want to get to that, but a little bit later, Andrea, because that is a very interesting development and something to talk about. But okay, Jose's one of his nugget was there were no goalkeepers during the 15 minutes of availability for media. There are goalkeepers on the roster officially now, but we'll get to that here in a couple of minutes. Andrea, what was your the nugget that stood out to you there from our interviews there?
Breakfast.
Well, we got breakfast. No, I'm kidding. It was surprising to see many academy kids playing with the first. I guess they are first team players because they're in the roster, right? Santi Morales, Tyler Hall. But we didn't see them training last year with the first team, so it was interesting to see them there.
Especially Santi.
Yeah, exactly, because he hasn't.
It's the first day of school, man. It's the first day of school. Everyone is together on the first day of school.
Yeah, but we didn't see him a lot last year.
We didn't see him a lot, yeah.
Whether it was the first day or the last day of school, Santi was not available.
So that
I've got some reporting to do on Santi. Maybe I'll do it later. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Nepo baby. I'm gonna keep it real here because I gave Phil a lot of talk with his son, but this is worse.
Raylan Johnson commenting on our previous topic saying MSN together again. I hope they will destroy teams if this happens. So the first pro Neymar comment in the comment section that we've shared. I mean, I haven't seen another one, but anyway, the biggest
thing. Run a poll on this platform.
We could, but listen, I'm still working on getting my new setup done.
You're still in
preseason, like 10 minutes
mode.
And we were late. People were mad because we were late. Don't tell Franco to invent something.
Listen, my girlfriend's birthday is also this weekend, so I've got a lot of planning. My life is very hectic right now. I got a lot going on here. A lot of moving parts. Anyway, for me, and it will go related to what Jose said was, so when we did the interviews with the U.S. men's national team players, they were all, thanks to some clever planning from U.S. Soccer, all either Inter Miami players or someone with an Inter Miami tie. So we spoke to Drake Callender, Benjamin Kremaski, and Indiana Vasilov, the former Inter Miami winger. So everything, the questions were mostly about Inter Miami with a little bit of U.S. men's national team sprinkled in there. Jose, Andrea, Island, Jose, aka Cinco, and Ajicita, I'm going to share with you my biggest nugget from the day. And it happened to be while we were doing U.S. men's national team interviews. It was with Drake Callender. I asked him about his thoughts on Inter Miami being linked this offseason, this winter, so consistently, so heavily with bringing in international or foreign goalkeepers. And, if he had paid any attention to that, if he reads, if he doesn't read, and how he took that, what his thoughts are. I also followed up with him, asking him if he had any concerns or any doubts, was my word, if he had any doubts that he would finish the year with Inter Miami, if he'd finish 2025 with Inter Miami. This was his response in full. Read into what he says however you want, as well as his body language, and we'll dive into it here after.
It comes back down to what you can control, really. I mean, I'm just focused on myself. At the end of the day, I'm my own biggest competition, and my job is to be the best that I can be. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty natural in the pro sports world, is for them to create an environment where it's competitive. And I think going into the year, it's important to have a goalkeeper group that's going to compete. And it's just part of the situation. I'm not too concerned. I'm just gonna focus on myself and be a leader, be the best player I can for this team, and I'm ready for anything.
Do you have any doubts if you'll be here throughout the rest of this year?
No, I mean I'm pretty ready for the year. I mean, it's the coach that at the end of the day has a decision on who he wants to put in goal, but I feel like I'm capable of being the best that I can and competing for the team, and yeah.
That is so not Drake Callender.
All right, I was gonna say you beat me to it, Jose. You jumped the gun. But before we go to your guys' thoughts on how you read into it, I want to go to the comment section here, because the comment section apparently has a lot to say about Drake Callender. Mike V says Drake is on his way out. Thomas, Drake needs to go. Jay, Drake don't fit the system. Bye-bye. Mike V, Ustadi's going to start, and they just hired his backup, Rocco. John S, Drake is the weakness of the team. Mike V also follows up, and I made this joke to Jose and Andrea off cameras, and you're right. It says Franco looks like he's streaming from a jail cell. Get some pictures, bro. Look, my Messi jerseys that are normally in the background, I have to. This is new vertical viewing. I have to figure this out. I do think that it does look like I'm in a jail cell, but I promise you I'm not. My girlfriend is not holding me captive. Blink twice if you need help. But anyway, Simon or Simon here in the comment section says they need to sell Drake. So, nope, got some more. Drake is a liability. Hashtag Drake out. So the comment section, at least here in the early going here, Miami Total Football Radio, it's a negative sentiment for Drake Callender. Now,
they're very mistaken if they think Ustari is better than Callender. I'm just gonna say that.
Well, we'll start with Jose, because Jose wanted to jump the gun there. You said it's not very Drake Callender, that sound.
Yes. Yeah, it's just not him. It's just not him. He looked very uncomfortable, answering the question.
Una pregunta incómoda.
Right. He never, if you notice, he never stops moving. He never stops moving, which means he's not, relaxed, or, he's looking to find ways to run out of there and not answer questions about that. So it's very uncomfortable. I think he's in a tough spot. I think he is in a tough spot. There were some mistakes last year. You can't run away from that. But as of right now, with the signings that they have, I don't know if they have a better goalkeeper than Drake Callender.
Right now is the key word.
But they could make a move. Yeah, they could make a move.
Andrea, what were your thoughts on his comments?
I think Drake Callender knows that, like Yedlin did last year, that he's going to leave Inter Miami because he's the odd American now. He's the American that doesn't speak Spanish, doesn't hang out with their clique, and all of that. Same thing that happened to Yedlin. And for Inter Miami, Drake is one of the only assets that they can sell. Yes, he made mistakes sometimes on moments last season, but he's also the one that gave you your only title. So you cannot be that unforgiving with a goalkeeper, because
he needs to move.
He was a good asset for Inter Miami, and he is one of the few assets that Inter Miami could move either to MLS or to other markets if he has a good agent. I could see him going to Europe, yes. And that I think that's the better move for him and for Inter Miami, because listen, Inter Miami, we've been joking around that you have to be Argentinian, but what, 11, 12 players Argentinian, and then Uruguayans, Hondurans, and all not many Americans left on the team. So, and not many Americans with that personality that Drake Callender has. That is a very American personality. So I think he knows he's on the way out, and also I think they knew that he was not going to play with the United States on Saturday, because Inter Miami doesn't have a goalkeeper that can go and play. And Macherano told us he would never put an academy goalkeeper in that match against America. So I guess that means that he's
He
not
was
going to
lying
put.
to us. He already knew.
He's
Yeah, he already knew. He already knew
He's
they were
just
signing
painting
him.
you. He's just painting you like, oh, I would never do that to one of the players, so you can start thinking about
Well,
how
Be like,
these
"Oh,
guys
I
are
don't
such
think
considerate."
that Rocco.
¿Qué
I don't
tal-
think that
qué tal-
Rocco
qué
is
tal,
going to play
¿qué
against
tal
America,
líder? ¿Qué tal
even
líder,
though
Javi Mascherano?
even though he's here and he's available, right? I don't think
But
we're going to see him against America,
Rocco's not
or
an
yes.
academy player. Rocco's not an academy player.
Yeah, but he comes from the USL, and
He was
has,
talking about
they
the
tried to sell
academy
him that he
guys.
comes from Lanús, but he's been playing in USL for the
That's
last 2
fine,
years.
But Mascherano was talking about the academy goalkeeper that they had in doing reps with them since. I mean, I don't know if that's
So
true or
they
not. We didn't see
already
any
know.
goalkeepers,
But
if there was an academy, that he would not put him. He would not throw him into the lion's den. He would not throw him into the fire against Club America, because he wouldn't want to expose him to that when he's not ready. Anyway, going back to Drake, I agree with both of you. Well, I think Drake answered it in still a very Drake Callender way, in terms of being professional, not trying to say anything too controversial. I think his overall tone and his overall response illustrates someone that knows that they might be on the way out, that knows that they are not necessarily the preferred option. When he says, "I'm ready for anything," that to me shows that he's come to terms with the possibility that either he's the number 2 or that he's just not here. And I imagine if you got Drake Callender behind closed doors and you sat with him, no cameras, no microphones, and you got his honest thoughts, or if you were a mosquito on his wall, listening to him talk to his significant other, then I imagine he's probably having honest conversations that, maybe he won't be here this year. Jose, I mean, the biggest talking point for me, right, comes futbolisticamente. From a soccer standpoint, is he good enough for what this team wants to be? And I would say no. Is he an immense shot blocker? Yes, he can be. But he also commits blunders, mistakes, and at times juvenile mistakes. And for a team that has the aspirations that Inter Miami has, I don't think you can afford that. 2, he's just not that good with his feet. Has he made improvements since he first got here? Absolutely. He's gotten much better. You can tell he's a little more comfortable, but you still see that he's not the most comfortable. It's like putting someone to dance salsa that doesn't dance salsa, right? They can take classes, they can feel free, but if it just doesn't come to them, it just doesn't come to them, right? It just is what it is. Andrea, something that you said that I would like to harp on is, there is going to be a market for him in MLS. He's a U.S. men's national team. He's in the pool. There's so many teams. He can start in this league. There's no questions about that. And now with MLS introducing the new rule that you can now essentially pay a transfer fee for players within the league, right? This is a new rule that was just announced a few days ago. I have no doubt that there are suitors for Drake Callender, who is a good goalkeeper, but I don't think he is elite. I don't think he's great enough in this league. And I think Inter Miami has analyzed that, how he fits the system, and I think they want to move on.
I don't agree with you. I think he's one of the top goalkeepers in this league, even the top goalkeeper in this league. That for me is Galese. Makes mistakes sometimes. It is what it is. But Inter Miami is selling Callender and it's gonna be another Yedlin situation, bringing a player like Marcelo Weigand that didn't no da la talla, just because of their passport. For me, Drake Callender is leaving Inter, personal opinion, right? And if Drake Callender leaves Inter Miami, it's because he is the only gringo. And they don't like that. They want an Argentinian guy or
I don't think
Latino
it comes
guy
down
to
to
be
that,
there.
though.
I do.
I think it comes down
Because
to
all defenders speak Spanish. He's the odd man out. He's the one trying to fit in, and that's the problem. For me, it's not because of he's bad or good or not elite. Anyone that they bring is not elite. The names that have been spoken, unless
elite
you
by
bring
MLS
Franco
terms,
Armani,
MLS
then
terms elite.
none of the names mentioned.
No estamos hablando de elite. No estamos hablando de elite del mundo. Estamos hablando de elite in Major
because
League
unless
Soccer.
you bring me another Pedro Galese or Burki,
Galese, Andre
I would
Blake.
tell you.
But I don't think Inter Miami needs to have the best goalkeeper in the league to succeed. This is going to be a team that's going to struggle defensively.
Look, Andrea said in her, not right now, but in her initial comments that people are forgetting, or some people are forgetting that Drake Callender helped essentially give Inter Miami its first title. But professional sports are about constantly proving yourself. It's not about what you did for me yesterday. It's about what you're doing for me today. And Drake Callender in 2024 was not as good as Drake Callender in 2023.
Yeah, he didn't have a good year.
So then if you're Inter Miami and you're analyzing, and maybe what you said about fitting in culturally and the language,
that is what it comes out.
It's a piece of it. But I don't think this would come down.
It is that same as it was for Yedlin. The replacement for Yedlin was a bad replacement. I would die on that hill, and I would die on that hill forever, because I have not seen anything that tells me that Marcelo Weigand is better than Yedlin.
Well, we disagree with you. I mean, Jose, you still agree with me that Chelo is better than DeAndre Yedlin.
Chelo's better than Yedlin.
You're tripping. 100%. Air Drake is a solid MLS keeper. Yes, he's a solid MLS
She loves to read the comments.
She reads them when they agree with her.
I read them. I read them.
She reads them when they agree with her.
No.
But
I think Drake.
Jose, go ahead. Jose.
Yeah, I think they can survive with Drake. I think they can survive with Drake, but I don't think there's. I think the time has come for that relationship to be over. I think it's been quite a run. It's been great for both parts, really, because I think Drake was serviceable for Inter Miami, and Inter Miami basically gave him a professional career.
Best goalkeeper in Inter Miami history to date. It's not a question. It's not a question. Nick Marsman wasn't better. Robles wasn't better during his time. Drake Callender is the best goalkeeper in Inter Miami's short history.
I don't know about that, but
you're gonna say CJ Dos Santos, Jose.
No,
be real, man.
I think Luis Robles was better than him.
No, Jose. Luis Robles. The Inter Miami got Luis Robles at the end of his career.
You're stuck because Luis Robles had a good career in MLS and all of that.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. But regardless, I think there's a time and a place for him this year, and it's not an Inter.
But that's not saying best. Luis Lopez says best Inter goalkeeper history, but that's not saying much. Well, yes,
I mean, it's true. It's that history is short, but in the short history, he is the best goalkeeper Inter Miami has had.
There's a stat about Drake that is it's a terrible stat for him. But it's not entirely on him, and it's somewhere around these numbers. I might be able to confirm this, but he obviously played over 100 games, and he has less than 20 clean sheets. So
yeah, but
you could also say that.
I said it. It's not entirely on him. But
they scored the most goals. I don't remember if they scored more goals or not last year. They were one of the top, but they also were one of the top 5 worst defenses in MLS.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the goalkeeper is still part of it. So
still part of it, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's a crazy stat and maybe a little bit tricky, but we would put a lot of value into it if that number was not below 20 but above 60, right? I mean, we would think that Drake did a great job. So.
Well, Emiliano Martinez is the world's number 1 goalkeeper, and he doesn't have a clean sheet in the Premier League. So
no, pero ¿quién dice que es el best goalkeeper? ¿Quién? La prensa argentina.
FIFA gave him the award.
FIFA está con el sabor argentino. Come on, Andrea.
Thomas says Yedlin is not better than Chelo. Yeah, I think
Skrilla says Chelo is
Yedlin.
greater than Yedlin.
Yeah, Chelo
Yeah,
Wigan is not great, but he's better than Yedlin.
like look, I'll say this, and we're not getting into this side mission here, but Chelo Weigand no te va a impresionar. He's not wow, es cumplidor. He's serviceable, and he doesn't commit. I'm not saying he is, Sergio Ramos out there, but he doesn't commit the type of mistakes defensively that DeAndre Yedlin was making. DeAndre Yedlin was getting caught forward, leaving space in behind. Andre, I think you have like forgotten that, recency bias, because Chelo has made mistakes too. But he is better than DeAndre Yedlin all around. Maybe not when DeAndre Yedlin was at the peak of his career, but where DeAndre Yedlin is now, I think Chelo Weigand, for what Inter Miami wants.
You know what? Ian Frey was also a much better right back whenever he played than Chelo.
I agree.
Or Yedlin.
I agree. I think Ian Frey was better than Yedlin, and arguably could have been starting over Chelo.
Now, what are the chances that Mascherano will start with Ian Frey?
I don't see that. I think Ian Frey will be a center back this year. But anyway, all right. Let's move on.
Noah Allen. That's a good question for Mascherano.
Let's move on here to the players that have been brought in, right? Because on Monday, the only new player was Fafa Picoult, the former Fort Lauderdale striker.
Let me say finally. When you first invited me to this podcast,
we're not spending 20 minutes on Fafa Picoult. We're not spending 20
you asked me which player in MLS should they bring, and I told you Fafa Picoult, Polarriola. Well, finally, 5 years later, Fafa is here.
Fafa Picoult got his homecoming. We will talk about him, I'm sure, at some point this year, but we're pressed on time, so we are not going to spend a whole lot of time on him. But it was nice to catch up with him. He has very it's not the first time I've said this, but he's very DeMarcus Beasley type profile. Even like, his head shape, the low haircut, very DeMarcus Beasley-esque in terms of his profile, his appearance. But yes, homecoming for him. Sure, he'll get plenty of time this year. I think he's a depth piece, not going to be a regular starter, but again, nice for him at this point in his career to come home, and we'll see how he does for Inter Miami. But
he can play all over the field. That's big.
Here we go, Jose. Here we go.
No, that's big. He's big. He can play on the right wing. He can play on the left. He can play very easily in the middle.
I don't see him playing in the middle on Inter Miami.
No, but he could. What I'm saying, he could. He's going to be a wing player.
I could play on the right wing. Doesn't mean I could play.
They forced Campana to play places that he couldn't play. But never.
Anyway, all right. Players that have also been signed. Uskar Ustari was officially re-signed after Monday's practice. I think it came on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe Wednesday. Wednesday, I believe. And it's a deal through the 2025 season. So the veteran Argentine returns. Since then, there have also been signings of defender Gonzalo Lujan, who is a right back that can also play as a center back. His deal runs through the 2027 season. He comes from Club Atlético San Lorenzo. Also joining the team is Rocco Rios Novo on a one-year loan from Atlético Lanús. Rios Novo, if that name sounds at all familiar to you, if you've been a American soccer aficionado for a while, he's played in the lower divisions, as Andrea mentioned earlier. He was born in Los Angeles, so he's not a complete unknown commodity for some people. He does have Argentine roots.
Of course.
Clearly was playing in Argentina. So
the
Argentine influence continues. There are reports of a Uruguayan center back that is on the way. So a lot of different players.
Tadeo Allende also they announced.
That's right. That's who they announced on Tuesday. The forward, who I'm taking is essentially Leonardo Campana's replacement, essentially.
Another Argentinian.
So there's a lot. I mean, we can talk more about the players specifically once we see them. Once we see them in games. But
what I'm going to tell you, Franco, is that, for example, if we analyze the players, okay, this Lujan, who is coming from San Lorenzo, is someone that is young. And I bet was a player that Mascherano asked for, right? Because he played with him in the Olympic Games. Then you see Tadeo Allende, that his team, who played Real Madrid today, just to mention. He was loaned out because his team needed to be financially compliant with La Liga, and they are loaning or selling players to MLS. Another of their defenders is coming to MLS also to be compliant with the La Liga rules. So these are not gets that Inter Miami has gone and scouted for and are great players that have a lot of promise, to tell you. And for me, they respond to the needs that the team has just because they are positions that the team needs, but they will need to show on the field that they were good signings. For me, these were signings just
Is this enough? Is the question.
with
hold on, we forgot one.
science.
We forgot one. Telasco Segovia is also being reported. He is on the way. Not a done deal yet, but seems like it will happen. And like you said, Tadeo Allende, he has a loan deal through the 2025 MLS season from Celta de Vigo in Spain. So a lot of addressing needs, addressing positions of needs.
Because of the players that left, essentially.
But a lot of unproven
Exactly.
commodities when it comes
not
to
MLS experience and all of
that
that.
doesn't mean they're going to be bad, but it also doesn't guarantee that they're going to be good. So
they will have a period that they would have to adapt, like Diego Gomez did the first year that he had a bad first year, like Toto Avilés last year didn't have a good year. David Martinez, even Chelo Weigand, all these players that come from Argentina have a tough time getting used to MLS. So it's very surprising to me that we only have Fafa as a player that has MLS experience that is coming in, because I expected Inter Miami, with the market available, to get a couple more players like that.
But
Luis
I think
Lopez,
there's plenty of time for MLS.
Luis Lopez says, Club Internacional de Argentina, rolling eyes emoji. I mean, all right, let's address it. Let's address it.
It's something that you cannot deny, because at this point it's something that you cannot deny. It's simple as that. It's because Messi is here. It's because Messi wants to be among Argentinians.
Messi is Messi doesn't come out and say these things, but you can tell by, if you follow his career, you follow his persona, his public persona. Messi is a very proud Argentine. Right? Like, he doesn't speak other languages. He doesn't do interviews in other languages. He wants things done in Spanish. You always see him with his mate. He's very Argentine. And since he's arrived, I mean, we've seen a cloud of baby blue and white, Albi Celeste, just land over Chase Stadium and Florida Blue Training Center. And
it's his team, his league. You know, he makes the decisions here.
Yeah, so. But what I was telling Jose today, Jose, we were talking about this. That's the benefit of being married with someone that you work with, and you both like the same thing. But we were talking about that. Like, if you analyze these signings by Inter Miami, yes, they signed defenders, they signed a striker because Campana left, because Diego Gomez left. They are getting players in positions that they need, right? Yes, but they are not getting players that you could say 100% that are going to be a good fit for MLS.
Sure, that's right. Absolutely.
If you compare, for example, the players that LA Galaxy brought last year that made them win the league, if you compare them, they had profiles that you know that they were going to be good in this league, like Pansil, like the number 9, the forward.
Hold on.
They were players.
You never know if someone's going to be good. You assume they're going to be good based on their body of work.
There's enough profiles for them to
believe that they're going to be good.
To know that they are going to be good. But with Inter Miami, I feel that losing Chris Henderson and having Chris Henderson last year as just a supporting character, just in name, Inter Miami is bringing players just because of their passport, or because someone knows them from Argentina, has played, has coached them, or has known them, and all of that.
It's an interesting chapter in Inter Miami's history.
And that dooms for me when teams do that historically.
Teams
are not good.
I think somebody needs to take responsibility for these signings. You know, because who are we going to point out who are we going to blame if things don't work out, or who are we going to praise if things
Raul
work out
Sanyehi.
for this time? I seriously doubt it that Raul Sanyehi knows these guys. I mean, he maybe knows Tadeo Allende, but is Mascherano making the calls? Is Messi making the calls? I'm assuming Jorge Mas has no idea who they're bringing in. You know, so it's important to know those things. You know, who's making those decisions? Who's going to take responsibility in this? I'm not going to go out, and judge the players right now because I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them, so
Yeah.
they might be good. They might be good, and you never know. But there's no doubt that at least for me, as it is right now,
Do you
this
think
is
they're
not
a championship team?
Which is the most interesting signing out of the bunch to you? Like the most interesting. Doesn't mean he's going to be the best player. Which is the most interesting one to you? Quickly.
That was my point. None of them are overly impressive. If you go and look
el Uruguayo con la
their
peluca.
rocker, peluca.
Claro.
Los chinos, como
I
dicen.
mean, I have asked
Peluca means
around.
wig, actually, for the people that don't understand Spanish, and that's his nickname. So he's got
Curls.
big curls, almost like Andreas, but he's got it more outward.
I told Jose I'm gonna tell him which products to buy now that he's moved to America.
I've asked around, especially about him, because his story got to me a lot. It was a lot more interesting because of everything that happened in Chile with Colo Colo, and he was very vocal about it. He talked about his idea of not going to preseason just to try to force the team to sell him, which it didn't work out, and then he backtracked on it. And he was like crying on TV, and he was saying like coming to Inter Miami was like a dream come true for him. Now that story I did follow, so I did ask around about him, and the reviews are not great, are not great about him. So if there's any player within this list, I don't know. It's hard to pick one that
maybe Allende because he's a forward. Maybe Allende.
I don't know, but he.
I think the Venezuelan guy looks a little bit
maybe
better than the rest.
Maybe which I'm assuming,
and he's not announced.
Right,
he's not yet announced.
Luca has not been announced, although it seems a formality.
Yeah, it is a formality.
He said it in national TV, crying. So
Telasco Segovia also seems like it's going to happen, but it's not to the point where it's so clear cut as Peluca's.
I think Segovia scored
Can
against
we say
Brazil,
Peluca's name here? Can we give the name, because we're calling him Peluca and people don't even know who we're talking about?
No, we will never say the name of Peluca. He's gonna be Peluca from now until the end of the season. We're gonna reveal his name.
That's a fantastic nickname, by the way. That is his name is Maxi Falcón or Maximiliano
Falcón.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is also a great name. Which is also a fantastic name. Sounds very Dark Knight,
very Romanesque.
Dark Knight, mob boss relative. But no, both names are great, but Peluca takes the cake. I love the name Peluca.
But these are not overly impressive signings. That's my bottom.
That's what I meant. That's what I began.
These guys are not here to be difference makers. These guys are just here to
but supposedly they're here to make the team a championship contender.
I think Segovia. Segovia is the one guy that I have high potential. I think Segovia will be the only guy, and he might be the immediate replacement for Diego Gomez, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe, but tell me why. Why do you think that? You can just say it, but why do you think that?
Because I think he's the one guy that I see really upside throughout his recent career. He's a national team player. I did ask around about him as well and got better reviews. I just know I have a feeling like he might be a player that
I think he has potential to be shaped and learn like Diego Gomez did. Because I don't know if
they have coaches now that can really shape him up.
Mascherano is not Tata Martino.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I'll just say this, and we'll go to our final talking point here. For me, it's Gonzalo Luján. The reason for that, not because I know how he plays or anything like that, it's because he is capable of playing as a right back and as a center back. Now, obviously, Inter Miami has more of a pressing need for center back. And for right back, where they have Chelo Weigand and where Ian Frey slotted in last year. But from what I've heard, and this is information, sources told me he's being brought in to compete for that right back spot. He's being brought in to push Chelo Weigand for the starting spot at right back. Who wins it? That'll be determined this preseason. But that's what I've been told. I've been told that he's
Which
being
is
looked at
needed,
for
by
that
the way.
position. Yeah, I mean,
It's
if you can
needed.
upgrade that spot to give you more balance with me
Yeah.
in the right side and Jordi Alba on the left, and look, Yannick Bright did say this, and we can't go this podcast without mentioning it. Yannick Bright let it slip that and this is not too surprising. It's not a big revelation, but he did say on Monday that the system has changed under Javier Mascherano. Now, what that means, is it a 4-3-3? Is it 4-4-2?
Probably, yes.
Don't know. We'll find out on Saturday. But the system, maybe we'll find out.
No, against America it won't count because against America they'll play with a back five.
I don't know about that.
I
don't know about that. Okay, so we're going to that. That is so we've talked about the guys that have come in. We'll finish the show with the preseason schedule, which starts on Saturday. I'm very sad. I'm very disappointed that I'm not going to Las Vegas, one of my favorite cities in the entire world. I'm not being sarcastic. This is not Island Jose humor. But this is the preseason schedule. Sorry, Jose. Next time I'll get a vertical. I'll get a horizontal image. They play Club America on Saturday, January 18th. The next exhibition will be against Universitario in Lima, Peru, on the 29th. After that, they go to, it's hard to see from my vantage point, they go to Panama. Then they go to Honduras, to go face your Olimpia. And then they round things out in Tampa on the 14th of February versus Orlando City. I will repeat. Are you guys still there? Did I lose you? Uh-oh. Did I lose you guys? Am I still here?
I'm back.
Oh, there we go. You both are back. I lost both of you for a second. Anyway, very quickly, I will make the same joke I said to you guys when this was announced and we talked in our beloved, famous WhatsApp group. Jorge Mas is clearly trying to find and buy some goodwill from the panelists here on Miami Radio, the show, because there's no way it's coincidental that they're going to Peru to face Universitario and Honduras to play Olympia in the same preseason, which is being called the tour of the Americas, or the Americas tour, whatever they're calling it. So yeah, there's no way that's happening. Jorge Mas, we're on to you, brother. We are on to you. We know you're trying to buy some goodwill. It will not work with us. Although maybe we'll be there. Maybe we'll be there. Anyway, obviously you guys will have plenty to say about the Olympia game. We'll save that for when Inter Miami actually is about to play Olympia. I will do the same for Universitario. Buyer beware is the only thing I will say. Cuidado si vas a comprar entradas, porque no está garantizado que Messi va a jugar. You do not know. It's not guaranteed that Messi plays in any of these games. So yeah, besides the marketing, for any of these games, be careful. Even people going to Las Vegas. But that's where we round out the show. Is Saturday. We will see Inter Miami play Club America. I wish I was going, but I'm not. What are we going to get from this game? Do we expect Messi to play, Jose?
Yes, I expect Messi to play this game. I think this is the marquee match of the preseason tour. I think this is a very dangerous game for Inter Miami. After the Los Cuatro Fantásticos get off the field, what's going to happen? I don't know really. My expectations are very low with Inter Miami without them on the field.
Shocker.
Or even with them. You don't know how they are. They're coming.
Yeah,
3 months,
I'm assuming some sort of deal will be made between coaching staffs. Plenty of substitutions will be made in the second half. I think America will agree to that. They will slow down a little bit. It will be the first game for them as well. They have been playing the under-23 team in the Mexican League, so
they've been in Las Vegas doing preseason and
so they are still in preseason mode. I think there's no reason for anybody.
But let's say, Jose, they finished the season December 26th, so it's not like it was less than a month
turnaround. Right? It's a quick turnaround for them, but I think they're going to work things out between both coaches. I think.
No, I don't agree with Jose. That's a Brazilian coach that won the medal in the Olympics. Just to let people know, with Neymar. And I don't think he will be doing any favors to an Argentinian coach. to tell you the truth. I think it will be the hardest game in the preseason for Inter Miami, especially because they haven't trained more than a week. You don't know how players are coming, the Cuatro Fantásticos, but not only them, but the other players in the team who are young, like David, Kremaski, Noah. Well, Kremaski's not going to be there. Noah, Lenny, and Frey, that are players that have not had this to deal with this long off season during their career. So I think Inter Miami is in danger in this game because America is
what of losing?
of losing by a goleada.
Andrea, here we go.
Yeah, by losing 6-0 like they did in last preseason.
No,
it is a fact, Franco. America is tricampeón, and they
that's
just
fine,
won the
it's
title.
Preseason, Andrea. It's preseason.
Yes, but it's Mexican against Messi. Franco, you don't understand that or what?
Oh, okay. Very quickly for you both. I know what you're gonna say. I mean, you can say it jokingly, but which is the biggest game of the 5? You both think it's this one?
Yeah,
just from at least from like a outside perspective.
No, this is the biggest game, because I can see how Universitario can make an argument here, but how many times are Universitario and Inter Miami going to play with each other? I mean, they can only play each other during preseason.
This will be the second time though in franchise history. The first time was in 2022, and Inter Miami won at home 4-0. Great goal from Ian Frey. Harvey Neville also scored that day.
Yes, the great Harvey Neville. Just a quick note. I listened to the entire Phil Neville press conference this afternoon.
No. Hold on. Stay on track. Stay on point here. So you guys are telling me that the third game in Panama City against Sporting San Miguelito is not the biggest game on the schedule? Come on.
It's not the biggest game, although Sporting San Miguelito,
If we had a Panamanian sitting here on the show, he'd be like, "Yeah, it's the best of the games."
No, he wouldn't. The best team in Panama is CAI. It's not San Miguelito. San Miguelito is like.
But a Sporting San Miguelito fan will never agree to that.
Two things.
Yeah, but how many Sporting San Miguelito fans do you think live in the United States?
I don't know.
Par de pelucas. All right. Two things to round out the show regarding this game. One is something neither one of you touched on, is that this game will be played at Allegiant Stadium, which is turf field. So something to take into account there, because you don't want to risk any unnecessary injuries. You saw what happened last year. Although again, it was in a tackle, wasn't necessarily on the turf field. Facundo Farias gets injured, misses the whole year. But you're going to want to be cautious, especially with your key players. I would say, Messi makes an appearance, but it'll be a very limited appearance. I don't think, he plays very, very long on that.
I would say 45 minutes. First half.
15, 20 minutes off the bench at the end of the game. It takes it very, very easily.
I think he'll play. Maybe he plays less, but he'll play from the beginning. Because
I don't think so. Me personally.
That's the reason why Inter Miami today published a video because tickets haven't sold
No,
out.
they just want to sell tickets.
Exactly.
Inter Miami, para eso Inter Miami no tiene vergüenza. Para eso sí son para eso sí cobran rico.
They even got Messi speaking on camera, man. We haven't been able to do that.
Messi almost never talks, and one of their favors, they got him to come on, promote this game, please. Messi, por favor. Anyway, that's one part. The second part is Drake Callender, and Andrea alluded to this earlier. Drake Callender was recalled from the U.S. men's national team. Now, this is not an official international break, so clubs didn't even have to release him. Inter Miami did not have to release Drake Callender. And they could call him back at any point because it's not an official FIFA window. But he's being recalled due to a minor injury, is the wording on the official wording from U.S. Soccer. Very quickly, does Drake Callender play on Saturday? Jose, yes or no? For Inter Miami.
No, I don't think he plays.
Andrea.
I think he does.
He has to play, right? He has to play.
That's why we expected this to happen. Like, we were talking about this on Monday, and we expected him to be recalled because They don't have any goalkeeper.
It says team news: USMNT goalkeeper Drake Callender is experiencing a minor muscle issue and has rejoined Inter Miami for further evaluation and treatment. I mean,
and he has already been cured.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, why let him go if you don't plan? Like, why would Inter Miami take him back if they don't plan to play him on Saturday?
You know what? My honest opinion. This is not information.
Right.
My honest opinion.
Is he going somewhere? Is he heading somewhere? Is he off somewhere?
He's just scared and he wants to figure things out. So he wants to get back to Inter Miami. He doesn't want to spend, much time away from it. He wants to know exactly what's going to happen. And the only way he's going to know exactly what's going to happen if they don't play him at all in the first few games of preseason.
He's going to play.
To get out of there.
He's going to play. He's going to play. Something he's not going to play. It's just
I guess
whether they see him as
something that we can all three of us can agree is that Ustari cannot be the starting goalkeeper for Inter Miami, right?
He cannot be the starter, but he could be. I mean, wouldn't.
You want to win championships. You want to qualify in the Club World Cup, get out of the group,
well,
and you're going to rely on a 38-year-old goalkeeper that got injured after that game and never appeared ever again last season.
I know I said 1 hour and 10 minutes. We're going to go 1 hour and 15 just because I have to share the soundbite. I asked Javier Mascherano about his style of play. His answer was very stock. It was very generic. It's what you expect coaches to say this day and age. We'll listen to it very quickly and then we'll round out the show.
Al final no solamente es mi idea, sino es también adaptarme a lo que viene desarrollando el club posiblemente en el último año y medio, que es ser protagonista, es tratar de jugar en campo rival, tratar de enfrentar todos los partidos que nos toquen de igual a igual, y todo eso a través de la posesión de la pelota. A mí lo que me gusta es tener el control, y el control del juego a través de la posesión. A partir de eso creo que también nos adaptamos a la característica de los jugadores que tenemos, que al final tenemos jugadores para tener la pelota, para poder jugar en campo rival, para poder atacar en bloque, y bueno, eso es, y sobre todo también tratar de ser un equipo intenso cuando no la tiene, ¿no? Tratar de sobre todo dominar en varios aspectos del juego al rival, y que eso nos lleve a ser protagonistas.
Quite a challenge.
Rough challenge. I mean, rough translation. He wants a team that's the protagonist. He also is going to adapt himself to his players and his team's characteristics. But yes, he wants to be a team that dominates in possession, that plays in the opposing half, that attacks, in an organized fashion. Yada. Exactly.
It's the same. It's said that after Tata left that he wanted an attacking.
It's the stock response. It's the standard response from any coach. No coach is like, I want to park the bus and attack. Maybe Diego Alonso.
Unless you got a Cholo Simeone, Diego
Alonso was kind of like, oh, it's okay to control the game, just via los espacios, via the spaces, as opposed to with the ball. So maybe you could have gotten that, but standard response is that. Now it's just a matter of how they go about doing that is the real answer, right? How do you go about being a possession-based team? Are you a guy that likes inverted wingers, freedom in the attack? When he said atacar en bloque, that already to me says
Jordi Alba going.
He's very organized. He's definitely going to be. He's going to be very, very. He's going to put a little more emphasis maybe onto the defensive side than Tata did.
You want to figure out how much Mascherano wants his team to play? Just ask this question when you look in the mirror every morning: what benefits Messi? And whatever your answer is, that's how they're going to play. If they want to slow down and be a possession-based team because that's what Messi wants and what favors Messi, that's what they're going to do. It doesn't matter what Mascherano thinks about the game. That's just the reality of this team.
And I don't think we're getting any post-game interviews. So I don't think there'll be any sound bites on Miami Talk Football Radio, unfortunately. But
on Saturday,
yeah, I don't believe so. But we do have practice on Friday. There'll be more videos from preseason on Miami Total Football Radio's YouTube page. So subscribe, share, like, comment, give a thumbs up.
How many subscribers do we have there?
We've got a few, man. We're
Like
at
11,000?
we're at like 14.
14? We need to get that to 20 then.
Let's get
15?
to 20. This year we're getting to 20
Get to
for sure.
20.
20, we're blowing to 20. We're blowing. I think we need to like aim for 25. 25 is a good number.
Yes.
Esa es la meta. That's the goal. All right. So really quickly, because the show is made in large part due to our lively comment section. It's like a hornet's nest. We need to come up with a nickname for the comment section. But Thomas says Ustadi over Drake. Justin says Ustadi needs to start. Jay says Ustadi might be 38 years old, but he can play with his feet.
Very good point. Very good point.
That's what I said earlier about Drake and how he fits in the system. But again, it seems like there is a notion from some fans that Drake Callender just isn't what this team needs. We'll see how preseason goes. We'll see how Inter Miami does. We don't really care about the result on Saturday overall. Andrea thinks va a ser goleada. Club
Está
America
abriendo el
wins.
paraguas.
Shocking.
Le está
Shocking
abriendo el
that,
paraguas.
shocking that Andrea thinks that Inter Miami is going to lose by goleada. Host it. Do you want to give him a prediction?
I think America wins 3-1.
I won't say a score, but I agree with you. I think Club America wins. And that'll be it. I don't think Inter Miami is going to play much of their starters for much of the game. This is the first match of 5. They're easing their way into it. It's about gradual progress in preseason. So, all right. We will leave it there. That does it for the first show of Miami Total Football. I can't do. I don't know why I can't transition when I do it like in the middle, but just a regular convo I can do it. Radio, the show, the first one of 2025. Let us know what you think about this aesthetic with the three of us. I think it works better for the comments. But let us know what you think. Maybe we need a backup. Maybe we're too large and in charge. As always, give us a follow on our Twitter handles, as you can see here. And if you're listening, it's at Franco Panizo, at JARM21, and at Andre Yanes07. So follow us there. And we will be back next week to recap the game against Club America and talk about maybe some more peluca and anything else going on with Inter Miami. So for Jose Armando, for Andrea Yanes, I am Franco Panizo. You have been watching or listening to Miami Total Football Radio, the show. We will talk to you guys again next week. Have a great night, and thank you for joining us as always.